So I know I've been talking about the market, feeling different. It comes from sort of being in the game every day, and then having 15 plus years of experience. Well, now I have a bunch of numbers that just came out from September, and I thought we would go through them and sort of allow you to sort of self-assess, and then sort of close with what I'm thinking. We're just going to look at some graphs, month by month numbers, I think for 14 months. So you can do month to month, year to year, whatever you like. So why don't we go ahead and get started? And again, sellers markets, when they change, you got to be careful. So that's why I want to do this over and over again until you really get it. So we're going to review actuals, right? Cold hard facts. We're going to look at three different categories, I guess four: sold, pending, listing, and then also I included a chart on month supply. Seemingly that's a pretty consistent discussion from folks. We're going to actually look at a couple of slices of this. So first we're going to look at the entire data set for the Fresno MLS. And again, we're going to be looking at that data set consistently across 14 months. So it sort of selects everything. And then what I thought I would do, so we can remove some of the noise, some land, some condos, farms, what else? We would just look at Fresno City, right? The city of Fresno, which is just over 500,000 people, I believe. And then more specifically, single family homes inside the city of Fresno. So not condos, not multifamily, not these other things. So, and then we'll just sort of go through what my thinking of the data is. All right. So here's the first one. And again, this is month supply for Fresno County out of the MLS. And again, you can see it goes back to July of 17, right? Through, just reporting the latest one of September. So obviously far right, highest month supply at basically 3 1/3. The other thing that probably jumps out at you is we're now on a 5-month trend, sort of bottoming out at 1.9 during May through 3.3 in September. So a couple of things. First and foremost, in most markets, I think people would say 3 months, something under 4 months is okay. And I think that's true. But I think what you're missing is sort of what the trend is showing you here. And then more importantly, we have a couple of the slowest months ahead of us. So if we're 3 and 0.3 now, what are we going to be in December? Which was, you can see we sort of bottomed out last year, right? October wasn't particularly good. November wasn't good, and then December. So I guess I'll call it today. We're going to be over 4 months, and I'm going to even go up really out on a limb and tell you we're going to be over 4.5 months supply by December. So sometime in early January we'll see how I did. But I think it's like October 5th or 6th or whatever it is today, and I'm going to call 4.5 months by the end of December. So again, interesting data, kind of tells you a trend. I'd tell you to stop the video now and just look at it and see what you what you see here. This one's probably takes a little more time to get used to. So it's the same period, same data set, except now there's sort of 3 numbers being reported. We'll start with the big graph or the big bar, right, that says 2846. That's total listings. So as you can tell, total listings are up, and they've been up since I think they bottomed out in February, right? You can call February and January a tie, right? They're 3 listings apart. But, that's darn near a year. It's certainly 9 months of trending in one direction, and I don't see that stopping. Now we'll go to the small bar, or the sold, right? The dark green. And, it's been, the trend down is not as pronounced as the trend up in listings. But you can see we just, we just had a bad month at 984, down 20%, I think, from last August, or I'm sorry, from August. What's really scary is, we have 3 slow months ahead of us. So just like month supply, we have 3 pending slow months: October, November, December. And that's going to get interesting, right? And January and February weren't great either. So if we're already here, we'll probably be, I don't know, probably sub 900, which is not unordinary. I wonder if we're going to get below 700, right? December of last year was 701. And I think that's really going to depend on sellers, right? Are they holding out for this year pricing, or they finally realize that the market's changed and the seller's market is over? So it's going to be interesting. And then the red line is also interesting. That's the pending. So there's a lot of data again in this chart. And as you can see, pending sales is also down, right? So pending was 984 last month, and if you go back to last September, it was over 1,000, right? 1,018. So clearly down. Again, clearly 4 or 5 months of slowness ahead of us. So reasons to be concerned. Again, so it's interesting data. So now let's look at the same data set, except now just Fresno City and Fresno City single family homes. That's what the SFH stands for, single family homes. So again, in the last 14 months, we haven't had anything over a 2 until last month, and that was 2.7. So we have, this. I mean, this is only going to go up, and it's going to go up for, at least the next 4 or 5 months is my guess, because more and more inventory is hitting, and I see it every day. Inventory's up just in the first week of October, and sales are down, in my opinion. I can't really see the pendings and all of that, but it just feels it. I look every day. So it's, I don't think there's any question that the seller's market is over. The data set's just playing sort of catch up. And, but again, 2.7 shouldn't scare anybody, right? We've been begging for more supply on the market. And there's a couple of ways to get to more supply. One is you get new listings, which clearly are up, but also buyers disappear. And that's what really caused the crash last time, was a jump in forced or motivated sellers, which were banks, obviously, but also the buyers were disappearing. So it's that dual whammy that really makes this chart spike, and that's happening right now. And again, sort of that busy chart, again, Fresno City and single-family homes for Fresno City. So again, data is telling you a story. Listings are way up. Listings, I guess, bottomed in March. And, so the listings bottomed in March and they're up, I don't know, call that 35, 40%. Sales are down. Again, they're down in September, and we have 4 or 5 months, nearly 6 months, if you look at last year, sort of by comparison, ahead of us, which could be interesting. And then also pending, same story, right? Pending in September of last year, you're 3 or 4 months ahead of you, were ugly. And now we're going into an environment where interest rates are rising and all the like. So it's, I think the seller's market's clearly over. So again, sort of number one thought, I think I've been calling this for a while, the seller's market's clearly over. I think it's also obvious that not every seller believes that, right? Where do you price your stuff? Do you price it at May's price, or are you going to be pricing it December's price? I think some sellers will, plan ahead and sell okay. Others will be sort of trailing the data, and that's a lot of things we saw last time, if people were just trailing the data and getting very frustrated with their agents. I think anytime the market changes, people are going to go broke. I think there's a lot of people borrowing hard money, a lot of people speculating, a lot of people looking for, 10, 12, 15K profits, a lot of single exit strategies, meaning they have to sell versus doing something else. And, my hope is it's not a lot of people. I mean, last time I saw hundreds and knew of thousands of people that went broke and bankrupt and, really got in bad shape. And I hope that doesn't happen this time. But I know there's some people going to go broke, because if you started in the last 5 years, you don't know anything about a seller's market, and you probably think you're better than you are. And that's dangerous, right? I think this market will teach you a lesson if you get a little too cocky. I think you should be extra nervous. You should look at every next deal, new deal. If you've only known the seller's market, right, the last 5 years, you've been spoiled, frankly. It happens in your career, and you'll probably experience another one. But realize that real staying power means you can survive the entire business cycle, which, the seller's market is only one short period of that. there's the transition, there's balance, there's a buyer's market, and then it comes back. So be very careful. Do due diligence. Maybe take on less transactions, but just be smart. If I had a choice, right? If I was trying to sell something and I didn't have to, I don't think I would be listing for the next 6 months. I think the data is telling you that now is not the right time. If you have another exit strategy or can hold on, do it. I don't think I'd want to list something if I didn't have to, in a market like this. No speculative purchases, no bigger than normal, no above the median, no, hey, I can buy it, there's 50K in equity, I'll just relist it. None of this stuff. None of this, hey, I can go get hard money and pay 9, 10, 12% and no short-term money, right? No 6 months, no 1 year, none of these things that can really kill you if you only have one exit strategy. That's how you go broke. That's how the first domino falls, and it gets worse from there. I really suggest having multiple exits, right? Even if you're going to be buying and holding, know that, if you're going to buy and hold as a rental, great. That's a great strategy. Be put in conservative financing, all that stuff. But if the economy tanked or whatever, know that you could sell it, right? Because you have that kind of equity. Maybe you couldn't sell it for exactly what you paid, but you've got the equity margin because you got really conservative financing, right? So you could get some money back if you had to in an emergency. Really where I'm talking to here are people that are fixing and flipping, wholesaling. You got to have multiple exit strategies. So certainly if you're tying up, private or hard money, this is what I fear is going to have some people go broke. The last thing is, of all of this, right? This may seem doom and gloom, but frankly, these are the best times in the market cycle. If you have experience, if you've done your homework, you can be extra picky. You can be frankly cheap, as I've been called, because what's going to start to happen, it's already happening a little bit now if you look really careful at the data, but what's going to happen over the next 6 months is motivated sellers are going to start to stand out, and there's nothing like buying from a motivated seller, especially a motivated seller that's sort of advertising to the world inside the MLS. That's particularly motivating. So again, I love this time of market. I'm going to be extra greedy. I'm going to buy a lot of stuff. I'm going to create a lot of pride of ownership rentals and help people get started. But again, I'm going to be cheap. So I don't get most of the offers I send. I think I get, for every 20 that I send out, I probably get 1 or 2 counters. And of that, maybe 1 every 40 or so, we actually strike up a deal. I think that's going to change. I think in a year's time, should this keep going, I'm going to be getting 1 in 10 or 2 out of 10 counters and probably get 1 out of 10 deals. So, these are very exciting times for me. I look forward to it, but also I'm putting this out here just so I'm trying to save people from going broke or getting into trouble. In the end, thanks for watching. Do me a favor, hit a like, leave a comment, questions. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. I am trying to get to 1,000. We're only at 225, so lots of work to do. Share with your social network if you happen to like this. And as always, send me an email with a question. You can always give me ideas for the next videos. Have a great day.